Hello and welcome. It is time to set down the burdens of this day. Let your body sink deeply into the soft cushion of your bed. Tonight, we will journey together into the deepest truths of the mind, guided by the ancient wisdom of the Buddha's teachings. The mind is a beautiful, wild, and powerful place. It is the architect of everything you perceive, the quiet source of all your joy, and the wellspring of every subtle suffering. Tonight, we will learn how to turn that architect into a friend, a guide who leads you toward rest, not resistance. Close your eyes now. Take a deep breath in, drawing the air deep into your center, and release it slowly, letting the breath carry away any tension that remains. Do not try to think. Simply let go. You are listening to the Lotus Whisper channel. Tonight, we begin a long, gentle journey into the heart of the Buddha's wisdom, a path known as the Dhammapada, the path of truth. Let the sound of these words, the truth of these verses, settle into you like a deep, quiet rain. As you drift toward rest, remember this simple invitation. Subscribe to the channel so that these whispers of ancient wisdom can be a gentle, familiar companion on your journey to sleep, night after quiet night. Mind as the architect of reality. Settle deeper now. Let the quiet darkness of your room become a gentle container for your awareness. We begin our first long passage on the simplest, most profound truth. The mind is the forerunner of all things. The Buddha spoke of this truth not as a philosophical idea, but as a direct observation of reality, a truth as clear as the morning sun. He said, "Mind precedes all mental states. Mind is their chief. They are all mind-wrought. If with an impure mind one speaks or acts, suffering follows him like the wheel that follows the foot of the ox." Imagine that ancient road, the slow, heavy tread of the ox, the inevitable rotation of the wooden wheel behind it. The ox is your intention, your fundamental thought or feeling. The wheel, heavy part to this great teaching, a verse of hope and quiet grace. Mind precedes all mental states. Mind is their chief. They are all mind-wrought. If with a pure mind one speaks or acts, happiness follows him like his never-departing shadow. The never-departing shadow. Think of that image. It is not something you chase or hold on to. It is simply there, an inseparable part of your being, always present when the light of a pure, calm intention is shining. What does a pure mind mean? It does not mean a mind without thoughts. That is an impossibility for a living human being. A pure mind is one that is not owned by its thoughts. It is a mind that chooses its intention rather than being swept away by impulse or old habit. It is a mind that is rooted in harmlessness, in generosity, and in acceptance. When your thoughts are kind, your words are kind, and when your words and actions are kind, the space around you softens. The people you meet respond with less tension. Your own internal experience loses its sharpness. This happiness is not a reward delivered from the outside. It is the natural, inevitable blossoming of an inner choice. This is where the practice of being still begins. It is the deep work of turning from the outer consequence to the inner source. Tonight, as you rest, let us begin to explore the simple, daily dramas where this truth is played out. Imagine a young monk named Ananda, not the Buddha's famous attendant, but a student in a quiet mountain hermitage. Ananda was diligent, strong, and deeply committed to the practice. Yet, he was troubled by a persistent irritation. The other monks were often noisy. They coughed during meditation. Their bowls clattered too loudly during meals. One particular monk, who had a nervous habit of tapping his foot, filled Ananda with a deep, silent resentment. Ananda tried everything to stop the noise. He moved his cushion to the farthest corner of the hall. He spoke to the abbot, suggesting stricter rules. Nothing changed the world outside. The tapping continued, the clattering persisted, and Ananda's inner peace shattered every afternoon. One day, Ananda approached his teacher, a gentle
Tapping? No, master, Ananda admitted, his head bowed. Then your struggle is simply adding a second layer of sound. The master observed. There is the sound of the foot, which is the world outside. And then there is the sound of your reaction. The sound of, I hate this sound. This must stop. This should not be happening. This second sound, Ananda, is louder than the first. It is the one that truly steals your peace. The master then offered a quiet, profound instruction. For the next week, every time the tapping begins, do not resist it. Do not judge it. Simply name the sound in your mind. Tapping. Irritation. Tapping. Irritation. And then, very deliberately, wish that monk peace. Ananda was skeptical. How could wishing peace upon the irritant solve the problem? But he trusted his teacher, and he returned to his practice. The next day, the tapping began. Tap, tap, tap. Ananda's mind instantly flared with the familiar heat of anger. But he stopped. He remembered the instruction. Tapping. Irritation. And then, with a small, quiet effort, he offered the wish. May this monk be free from suffering. May he find ease. The first few times the wish felt utterly hollow, a lie spoken in the midst of fire. But he persisted. Every time the external sound reached his ears, he returned to the internal choice. Tapping. Resentment. May he be peaceful. Something began to change. The irritation did not vanish instantly, but its quality shifted. Before, the irritation had been sharp, a knife cutting into his awareness. Now, it was a duller throb, and as soon as the wish of peace was offered, the throb began to subside. He realized that the anger was not the fault of the sound. The anger was the result of his own mind refusing to accept the sound. The suffering was created by the thought, this should not be. When he shifted his intention from resistance to compassion, the energy in the room did not change, but the feeling in his body did. The tension in breath, and watch a subtle, quiet happiness follow like the shadow that never leaves. The practice is always available, in every moment. It is the gentle turning of your awareness away from the noise outside, toward the quality of the stillness within. The stillness is always there, beneath the surface of thought and sound. Consider the deep quiet of the forest at night. In that darkness, many things are happening. The movement of a small creature, the whisper of the wind through the pines, the subtle shifting of the earth. But the forest floor does not resist the wind. The earth does not resist the tiny lives moving upon it. It holds everything in a vast, silent acceptance. This is the quality of the awakened mind. It holds the clamor without becoming the clamor. It knows the sound of the world, but it hears its own quiet intention more clearly. Take a few slow, deep breaths now, and imagine that you are the forest floor. You are vast, ancient, and still. The thoughts are the wind, the worries are the tiny movements, but you remain the ground. Nothing can truly disturb you. Let the words of the Buddha sink into your resting body. If with an impure mind one speaks or acts, suffering follows him like the wheel that follows the foot of the ox. If with a pure mind one speaks or acts, happiness follows him like his never-departing shadow. This is the promise of the path of truth. It is a path of simple, immediate transformation. The work is not to change the world, but to refine the intention that creates your inner world. In this gentle awareness, may you find deep rest and quiet ease. The river of craving and freedom. Let the quiet wisdom of the first lesson settle deeply into your heart. You have tasted the power of the mind to shape reality. Now, as you rest deeper still, we turn our awareness to the great river that keeps the mind restless. The river of Tanha, the profound thirst we call craving. The Buddha taught that craving is the root of all suffering. It is not the external event that causes the pain. It is the mind's.
Second, there is the craving for existence, the desire to be more, to prove your worth, to solidify your identity, to leave a lasting mark. This is the grasping at the self, the belief that I am separate, and I must persist. This craving makes you feel heavy, weighted down by the pressure of self-importance. And third, the most subtle and darkest is the craving for non-existence, the desire to escape the present moment, to push away what is painful, to silence the mind, to wish certain parts of your life, or even yourself, did not exist. This is resistance in its purest, most exhausting form. These three thirsts keep the wheel of suffering turning. Consider the old monks of the forest tradition. Their entire practice was designed to gently sever the vine of craving, not by violently ripping it out, which only causes more injury, but by simply observing it until it loses its power. There is a story of a young man named Tissa who came to the monastery, burdened by a great sadness. Tissa had been a successful merchant, rich in silks and jewels, and his life was a constant parade of luxury. But a plague swept through his town, and in a single month he lost his family, his fortune, and his health. He came to the monastery seeking an answer, demanding to know why the universe had betrayed him. The abbot, a man whose presence was as still as the deep water of a well, listened patiently to Tissa's tale of loss. "You have suffered a great wound, Tissa," the abbot said quietly. "But tell me, what did you truly lose?" "I lost everything," Tissa cried. "My wife, my children, the love and comfort of my home." "Yes, the forms dissolved," the abbot nodded. "The physical forms of those you loved have returned to the earth, as all forms must. But tell me about the love itself. Was the love contained in the form, or was it a quality within your own heart?" Tissa paused. He realized he was not grieving the love. The love was a warm, constant ache, still present. He was grieving the possession of the love, the certainty that it would always be there, in a specific, predictable shape. Human heart. It is not about throwing away your possessions or rejecting relationships. It is about removing the glue of attachment from your inner life. It means enjoying the sunset fully, without the desperate wish that you could freeze that single moment in time. It means loving another person completely, without the fear that their changing nature will somehow diminish your own. It means experiencing the warmth of your blanket or the quiet of your room, and acknowledging the pleasure, but not demanding that the pleasure continue past its natural cycle. When the mind clings, it contracts. You can feel the contraction now, perhaps in your own body. A slight tightening in the jaw, a shallow breath, a subtle brace against the future. This contraction is suffering in miniature, but when the mind releases, it expands. It becomes porous, like a cloud that can hold the rain without trying to keep the drops. Let's look at a simple, everyday example of this clinging. The moment before you fall asleep. The body is tired. The mind is ready to surrender. But often, a subtle, sharp thought arises. I must fall asleep now. I hope I sleep well tonight. I need to be rested for tomorrow. This need, this tiny insistence on an outcome, is the vine of craving. It is the desire for control over a purely natural, uncontrollable process. And what is the result? The hand squeezes the smoke, and the sleep you crave retreats further. The teaching of freedom is simple. Do not chase sleep. Invite rest. Chasing sleep is a product of craving. It is the effort to make something happen. Inviting rest is an act of non-clinging. It is the willingness to allow whatever is present to be present, knowing that the body, in its wisdom, will take rest when it is ready. The practice is to shift your attention from the desired outcome, the sleep, to the simple, quiet awareness of the process, the breathing. Feel the breath moving in and out, not as a tool to achieve sleep, but as the only moment that truly exists. When the thought comes, I am still awake, do not fight it. Do not criticize it. Simply observe the thought, label it, and gently return your awareness to the rise and fall of your abdomen. Separate, permanent self that needs to constantly acquire and protect. In this deep meditative state, let your inner hand relax. What are you holding on to right now? Not in your physical hands, but in the soft, subtle grip of your mind. Is it a worry about tomorrow's meeting? Let it soften. It is merely a ghost of a future event that has not arrived. Is it a memory of yesterday's argument? Let it soften. It is merely the echo of a sound that has already passed. Is it a disappointment in yourself? Let it soften. It is merely the comparison of a fleeting moment to an impossible ideal. You are the awareness that holds the worry, the memory, and the disappointment. You are not the things themselves. And awareness, vast and still, has no need to cling. It is complete in itself. The teaching is not about becoming cold or indifferent. It is about becoming profoundly warm and present. When you stop clinging to how things should be, you are finally free to fully experience how they are. This non-clinging is the highest form of love because it is love without condition or demand. It is love that trusts the changing nature of all things, even itself. Breathe in. Feel the ease that comes with the acceptance of this very moment. Breathe out. Release the subtle tension of wanting the moment to be different. You are entering the state of rest that is deeper than sleep. It is the rest of a mind that has ceased its inner fight. It is the quiet freedom of the non-clinging heart. Now, let your body become even heavier, sinking deeper into the soft surrender of the moment. We have spoken of the mind as the architect and the vine of craving that attempts to choke it. Tonight, we turn to the antidote, the quiet discipline that is the path out of suffering. Dhammapada, the way of vigilance, or earnest heedfulness. The Buddha called vigilance the path to the deathless, and its opposite, heedlessness or diligence, the path to death. But these terms are not literal. We are constantly running, multitasking, planning the next moment, while the current moment slips away unnoticed. This is heedlessness, the mind scattered everywhere, but centered nowhere. The truly vigilant person is not the one who works the longest hours, but the one who performs a single, small task, washing a bowl, drinking a cup of tea, listening to a sound, with total, undivided attention. Think of a simple image, the way a cat watches a mouse. The cat is perfectly still, utterly focused yet completely relaxed. It is not trying to force the mouse to appear. It is merely ready, open, and aware of the space. This is the quality of Dhammapada, relaxed readiness. The moment you become heedless, you open the door to old habits. The mind, being a creature of momentum, will immediately grab the nearest familiar distraction, the worry that loops, the judgment that springs forth, the craving for immediate relief. Heedlessness is the quiet surrender to the mind's own gravity. The story is told of a master named Dogen, who after traveling across the sea to China to seek the deeper teachings, was returning to Japan. As his ship was crossing the vast, open water, he saw a ship approaching in the distance, and on the deck was an old simple cook of the monastery, a Tenzo, whom Dogen had met briefly. Dogen was surprised. He knew the Tenzo was old and should have been resting, not traveling. Dogen invited the man onto his ship. "Tenzo, you are an old man," Dogen said. "Why are you traveling so far? You should be at ease in the monastery." The Tenzo explained that he had traveled to buy special mushrooms for the monastic meal. Dogen asked, "Why did you travel yourself? Why not ask the younger monks to go?" The old cook smiled, his face wrinkled like ancient parchment. "The others are not me," he said simply. "And a cook's duty, especially the care of the broth and the quality of the ingredients, must be done with one's whole self. My duty is my practice." Dogen then asked a question that was rooted in the common impatience of a seeking mind. "But you are wasting your time traveling. Why not spend these days meditating on the text, study?
Can I be completely present when I cook the mushroom? And if I am not present when I cook, how can the Dharma be nourished in the bodies of the monks who eat it?" The cook continued his quiet sermon. "The texts are mere words about the way. The act of cooking with total vigilance is the way itself, unfolding in your hands. There is no separation between the two." At that moment, Dogen understood. Vigilance is not a special spiritual activity that you perform only on your meditation cushion. It is the quality of awareness that you bring to the most mundane aspects of your life. It is the non-dual realization that the washing of a cup is no different in spiritual importance than a great sermon. This lesson is a profound invitation to you now as you lie in the quiet dark. Your entire environment, your bed, your breathing, the subtle sounds outside your window, is your sacred scroll. Your simple act of resting is your spiritual practice. Can you bring the same quality of wholehearted, non-anxious presence that the old cook brought to his work? Instead of being heedless, letting your mind wander off into tomorrow's plans or yesterday's regrets, choose to be vigilant. Bring your focus back, gently, patiently, to the felt sensation of your body relaxing. Feel the weight of your head on the pillow. Vigilance. Notice the slight coolness of the air on your skin. Vigilance. Hear the quiet rhythm of your own heart beating within your chest. Vigilance. Each tiny moment of complete presence is a victory against the ancient habit of heedlessness. It is a moment where you are truly alive, truly awake, and truly at home. The vigilant person realizes that life is made up only of these small, ordinary moments. There is no spectacular moment of awakening waiting for you far in the future. The awakening is here, now, in the stillness that watches the breath rise and fall. Do not try to force the mind to be still. That is effort born of craving. Instead, simply offer the mind a gentle, patient task. Stay here. Imagine you are standing watch at the gate of a beautiful, tranquil garden.
Achieve something in the future. You are realizing the perfect completion of the present. Rest now in this gentle, watchful state. Let the spirit of the old cook, who found the whole universe in a single grain of rice, guide your awareness. May your moment of rest be your highest, most vigilant practice. May you realize that you are already on the path to the deathless, simply by choosing to be utterly and beautifully here. The Forest of the Wise One. Allow yourself to feel the deep, nourishing rest that comes from embracing vigilance. The moment you are fully present, you are fully wise. Now, as your awareness softens even further, we turn our attention to the figure of the Pandita, the Wise One, as described in the Dhammapada. The one whose peace is not merely accidental, but rooted in deep, quiet understanding. The Wise One is not the person who possesses many books or holds many degrees. The Wise One is the one who understands the true nature of reality and aligns their life with that understanding. They are characterized by non-judgment, deep patience, and an unshakable inner stillness. The verses speak of the Wise One. If a man sees that a better man, one superior to him, or an equal, is friendly to him, let him follow that wise and knowing one, as the moon follows the path of the stars. This suggests a path of deep humility. The Wise One is humble enough to recognize wisdom in others and to learn from the silent example of those who walk the path with grace. But the wisdom itself is an inner quality, a quiet light that guides the way through the forest of human experience. Imagine the Wise One, a solitary monk named Kassapa, walking slowly through a dense forest at dawn. The air is cool and moist, carrying the scent of pine and damp earth. Kassapa is not looking for anything special. He is simply performing his pindapata, the morning collection of alms food. He moves with a rhythm so slow and even that he seems less like a man walking and more like a statue gliding across the ground. As he walks, his mind is not making judgments about the quality of the light, the beauty of the tree, unperturbed by the quality of the things you receive. Kassapa looked at the young student, his gaze clear and steady. "Young one," he replied, "tell me, when you look at the sun, does the sun change its light based on what it shines upon? Does it shine less brightly on a puddle of mud than it does on a piece of polished gold?" The student thought for a moment. "No, master. The light is simply the light. It shines equally on all things." "And so it is with the mind of the Wise One," Kassapa said, touching his own chest lightly. "The mind is like the sun. Its nature is awareness. Its quality is peace. The objects it encounters, whether they are pleasant or unpleasant, rich or poor, praised or criticized, are like the mud and the gold." He continued, his voice softer than the rustle of the leaves above them. "The foolish person attaches to the object. They become excited by the gold and repulsed by the mud. Their peace rises and falls with the changing nature of the things they perceive. But the Wise One recognizes that the true treasure is not the object itself, but the awareness that perceives it. The awareness remains whole, complete, and untroubled, regardless of the object. The true practice of the Wise One, Kassapa explained, is to stop judging the incoming experience. Judgment is the mind's attempt to divide reality into two camps, what I like and want to keep, and what I dislike and want to push away. This division creates internal conflict,
a war with reality. And as we learned in the first lesson, war with reality is suffering. The wise one practices non-judgment, which is a gentle, vast acceptance. If a pain arises in the body, the foolish person judges it. This should not be here. I hate this pain. It must go away. The wise one simply observes. Pain, sensation, burning, changing, no resistance, no fight. If a feeling of deep peace arises, the foolish person judges it. This is wonderful. I must hold on to this. I must find a way to repeat this moment. The wise one simply observes. 1. It leads to the profound, deep peace that the Dhammapada promises. Just as a solid rock is not shaken by the wind, so the wise are not perturbed by blame or praise. Think of that rock. It stands firm not because it exerts effort, but because it is completely, solidly itself. It does not try to be soft when the wind blows. It does not try to be high when the floods come. It simply is. And so, as you prepare for the deepest part of your rest, embrace the wisdom of the rock. Let your consciousness become that stable, unperturbed presence. You are not the changing winds of thought. You are not the fleeting waters of emotion. You are the vast, solid, quiet awareness that watches them all pass by. In this deep, non-judgmental space, may you find the true companionship of the wise. May you realize that the most profound wisdom is simply the silent acceptance of what is. Let this deep quiet guide you into a rest that is whole, true, and complete. Finding refuge in the self. Deepen your breath now. Let the soft, steady rhythm of your breathing be the anchor of your awareness. We have explored the mind, the obstacle of craving, and the path of vigilance. Tonight, we arrive at the most radical and liberating teaching of the Buddha, the final instruction given to his closest attendant. The realization of Atta Dipa, be a lamp unto yourself. This teaching shatters all dependency. It is the absolute rejection of the idea that salvation lies outside of your own experience. The Buddha's final words were not about an external God, a ritual, or a powerful savior. They were a direct command. Be lamps unto yourselves. Be a refuge unto yourselves. Take no other refuge. Imagine the scene, the Buddha, frail and old, lying beneath the sala trees, his disciples weeping around him, anxious about the future. They looked at their teacher, the source of all their wisdom, and saw him fading. Their attachment, their dependence, rose up as a wave of panic. Who will guide us now? Where will we find the truth? Monk bowed deeply and pleaded, Master, please, I have searched everywhere. Give me the key. Show me the way. Give me the enlightenment that I have failed to find on my own. The master sat silently, his eyes closed. After a long time, he opened them and spoke in a voice that seemed to come from the stone of the cave itself. I cannot give you the key, my son, because you already possess it. The monk was bewildered. But I don't know how to use it. I don't even know what the lock looks like. The master smiled. The lock is your belief that the key is outside of you. The key is simply the recognition that you are already free. He stood up and pointed a trembling finger at the monk's own face. Look at yourself. Every moment you spend searching for a refuge outside is a moment spent running from the only refuge that is real. Your own vast, quiet, present awareness. This realization is the essence of true self-refuge. It is not an egoic claim of self-sufficiency. It is the deep spiritual recognition of your own intrinsic completeness. The path is not a set of directions to follow. It is the act of turning inward, relying on your own experience to verify the truth. How does this teaching apply to your rest tonight? When you lie down, your mind may instantly begin to look for external refuge. The refuge of distraction. I should watch one more show to forget the day. The refuge of planning. I need to mentally review tomorrow's to-do list to feel safe. The refuge of attachment. I must hold on to the image of this person or that comfort to feel secure. Each of these habits is a form of taking another refuge. They are all attempts to soothe your inner unrest with an external solution. Tonight, practice the radical act of taking refuge in yourself. When a restless thought arises, do not reach for the mental distraction. Instead, gently ask, "Can I simply be here with this feeling?" When a fear about the future grips you, do not rush to plan it away. Instead, gently ask, "Can I rely on my own
wisdom that already governs your life?" Trust that wisdom. Trust the body's innate ability to rest. Trust the mind's innate ability to be still. You do not need a map to find peace because you are already standing in the center of the garden. The final wisdom of the wise one is this: the path of truth is not a hike up a distant mountain, but a simple, profound return to the quiet home that has always been within you. You are the way, the truth, and the refuge. Rest in your own light now. Let the beautiful, deep self-sufficiency of your awareness guide you into the deepest peace. Part 6. The burden of holding on. Settle into the quiet comfort of your own refuge. Let the body become a landscape of deep rest. Tonight, we turn our awareness to the physical reality of suffering, the sense of being weighed down, and the profound, quiet freedom of setting down the burden. The Buddha spoke of the khandhas, the 5 aggregates of clinging, which are the components of what we mistakenly call the self. They are form, feeling, perception, mental formations, and consciousness. Together, they are not the self, but the burden the self constantly carries. Imagine that you are a weary traveler walking a long, hot road. You carry a heavy sack on your back. This sack contains form, the weight of your own body, its pains, its desires, its temporary nature. Feeling, the intense desire to keep the pleasant feelings and avoid the unpleasant ones. Perception, the rigid labels and ideas you use to define everything: good, bad, fair, unfair. Mental formations, the constant repetitive habits and intentions, the worry loop, the planning habit. Consciousness, the very stream of awareness that is constantly grasping at the other 4 aggregates. This sack is heavy, but here is the great irony. It is empty of anything permanent or essential. It is a burden made entirely of clinging. The physical forms, the feelings, the ideas, they are all temporary phenomena. The heaviness comes from your desperate effort to hold them together and call them me or mine. Water and spoke softly. "Tell me, young one," the master asked, "when did the effort end? When I removed the bucket, or when the weight of the water was truly gone?" The monk hesitated. "When the weight was gone, master, when you poured the water out." The master smiled, a gentle, knowing smile. "And tell me, young one, which part of the work was more exhausting, the walking or the constant worry that you might spill the water and lose the load you were trying so desperately to keep. The monk understood. The greatest exhaustion was not the carrying itself, but the clinging to the idea of the water's value, the fear of losing it and the resistance to the effort. The fear and the clinging were the true weight. The master then pointed to the spilled water, which was quickly sinking into the dry earth, leaving no trace. The water, like all things, will return to the earth. Your peace is found in the moment the hand opens. True freedom is the complete non-possession of the burden. The lesson for us, as we rest, is to realize that the burdens of our day, the anxieties, the regrets, the heavy sense of responsibility, are all forms of water we are desperately trying to carry. We believe we must hold them, manage them, and control their outcome. Tonight, you are invited to pour out the water. This is the practice of vairagya, of non-attachment, applied to your inner life. You don't need to resolve the problem right now. You just need to stop clinging to the idea that you must hold the heavy responsibility of that problem. Let the burden of form drop. Feel your body, not as something to be fixed or perfected, but as a temporary, soft container for your consciousness. Let the fatigue be fatigue. Let the rest be rest. Let the burden of feeling drop. If a subtle emotion, sadness, worry, or even joy arises, let it pass through. Don't grab onto it and spin a story around it. It is just water flowing. Let the burden of perception drop. Stop labeling your day as good or bad. Just let it be the simple, neutral facts of a day that is now over. The act of setting down the burden is simple. Freedom of the unburdened heart carry you into the deepest sleep. Part 7. The Quiet Path of Trust. Now, in this deep state of surrender, let us move to the subject of trust. In a world that constantly demands control, the deepest spiritual act is often the simple, profound act of letting go into the current of life. You have been told to trust only what you can see, touch, and control. This modern belief is that safety comes from certainty. But the Buddhist wisdom, echoed in the deep heart of Zen, teaches the opposite. True safety is found in the acceptance of uncertainty. Trust is not blind hope. It is calm awareness meeting impermanence. It is the understanding that everything, your body, your feelings, your thoughts, your relationships, your career, is fundamentally unreliable. And in that unreliability lies its perfection. Think of the cycles of nature. The earth does not panic when the leaves fall in autumn. The tree does not resist the cold. It sheds its form, trusts the winter, and waits for the return of spring. Its trust is not an intellectual idea. It is a deep, biological certainty in the rhythm of the universe. We as humans interrupt this rhythm with our craving for control. Imagine a boatman on a vast, wide river. The foolish boatman constantly fights the current, rowing against the natural flow, exhausting himself trying to push the water uphill. He distrusts the river, believing he knows a better path than the one the water provides. The wise boatman, however, lowers his oars, unfurls his small sail, and finds the deepest part of the current. He does not try to control the river. He aligns with it. He expends his effort only in steering around obstacles, not in trying to alter the direction of the water itself. His trust is the source of his ease. This path of trust is the shift from controlling your life to aligning with your life. When we cling to the idea that things should be a certain way, we suffer. The mind constantly creates a detailed, perfect blueprint of how the next week, the next year, or the next moment should unfold. When reality inevitably diverges from that blueprint, we call it a crisis. The quiet presence that hears the thoughts but is not moved by them. It is your inherent refuge, the lamp we spoke of earlier. To trust the center is to know that even if the boat capsizes, you remain. Third, trust the process, karma. This is not about fatalism. It is about quiet confidence in the law of cause and effect. It means recognizing that you are always the architect of your own intentional moment. You work hard, you plant good seeds, you act with kindness, and then you release the outcome. You do your part, and you trust the universe to do its part, knowing that the quality of your effort will inevitably lead to a quality of consequence. You work hard without being owned by the results. Let this sense of profound, non-anxious trust settle over you now. In the quiet of your room, you are invited to let go of the oars. Release the intense pressure to make things happen. If sleep comes, trust it. If rest is shallow, trust that too, knowing that the body is taking exactly the rest it needs in this moment. The deepest, most beautiful lesson in trust is about letting the inner fight end. The moment you stop resisting what is, you enter into a state of profound alignment. The energy that was previously wasted on fighting the current is now available for rest, for healing, and for simple, gentle presence. Rest now in the quiet certainty that you are held by the largest, most reliable current there is, the current of life itself. The path is unfolding perfectly, moment by moment. All you have to do is trust the rhythm. Allow your awareness to drift further, sinking into the quiet comfort of your deepest rest. We have spoken of the burdens we carry and the freedom of letting go. Now, let us turn to the most essential spiritual discipline, one that is often mistaken for weakness, but is in fact the greatest strength. Self-compassion, the practice of softening the inner voice. The path of the wise one is not a path of perfection, it is a path of perfect acceptance. And yet for many of us, the hardest judge we ever—
"Master," he confessed, his voice trembling with frustration, "I try so hard, but my mind is a raging river. The harder I fight the distraction, the worse it becomes. I hate my own weakness." The master nodded slowly, not with judgment, but with deep understanding. He invited Jiko to sit down beside a small potted sapling that stood in the corner of the room. "Jiko," the master said, "tell me, how does one teach a sapling to grow straight toward the sun?" "One ties a small rope to it, master," Jiko replied, "and gently guides it to a support stake." "And if the sapling is bent far to the side, do you tie the rope tightly, pulling it with all your strength in a single violent moment?" the master asked. "No, master," Jiko said, realizing the answer as he spoke. "If I pull it too hard, I will snap the trunk. I must tie the rope gently, applying only a tiny bit of tension each day, allowing the wood to slowly soften and adjust over time." "Your mind is the precious sapling," the master explained. "It is currently bent by old habits and distractions. You have been trying to pull it straight with a single violent, self-aggressive yank. You are snapping your own spirit. That harshness is not discipline. It is violence." The master touched Jiko's tense shoulder. "True discipline is patience. True effort is softness. When the distraction arises, do not fight it. Simply observe it with the same gentle curiosity you would use to observe the sapling. Say, 'Ah, my mind is restless today.' This is the human condition. May this restlessness be eased." This gentle acceptance, this inner forgiveness,
is the only rope that will truly guide your mind toward the light. This is the great teaching of self-compassion. The healing begins not when the struggle ends, but when the resistance to the struggle ends. Tonight, as you rest, let us practice softening the inner voice. When a critical thought comes, do not debate it. Do not agree with it. Simply recognize it for what it is. An old, worn-out mental formation. This gentle, forgiving awareness. Let the memory of the master and the sapling remind you that the deepest growth is always achieved with patience, tenderness, and the steady, quiet practice of self-kindness. The great emptiness in form. Sink deeper now, letting the soft, pervasive sense of acceptance guide you toward stillness. We have traveled far, from the mind's architecture to the gentle discipline of self-kindness. Tonight, we approach one of the deepest truths of all Buddhist wisdom, the relationship between form and emptiness, rupa and sunyata. This concept is often misunderstood as nihilism, the idea that nothing matters or nothing exists. It is precisely the opposite. The teaching of emptiness is the realization that everything exists, but not in the way our mind assumes it does. The classic statement is, form is emptiness, and emptiness is form. Imagine a garden, a beautiful, tranquil Zen garden. It is composed of many clear, distinct forms. The perfectly raked white gravel, the rough texture of the large gray stones, the single green mossy lantern. These are the forms. Now, ask yourself, what is the essence of the gravel? It is not inherently gravel. It is rock, broken down by water, wind, and time. It is made of minerals, which are made of atoms, which are mostly empty space and vibrating energy. The gravelness is not in the material itself. It is a temporary label, a concept assigned by the human mind. The gravel, in its essence, is empty of any permanent, self-existing, unchanging gravel nature. But here is the twist. That emptiness is not nothing. It is the very condition that allows the form to appear. If the gravel had a permanent, solid, unchanging nature, it could never be raked, moved, or shaped. It would be frozen and lifeless. Because the gravel is empty of a fixed essence, because it is pure potential energy, it can take on the form of a wave, a ripple, or a still lake, crafted by the monk's rake. Emptiness is the potentiality. This applies to you resting in your bed. You're carrying a piece of smooth, polished black inkstone, known for its flawless, fixed beauty. Master Hakuin, the scholar declared, holding up the stone, this inkstone is perfect. It is solid, constant, and cannot be changed. It is the standard against which all things should be measured. Why are your efforts so fleeting? Hakuin took the inkstone and held it in his hand, feeling its weight and coolness. Indeed, this stone is beautiful and full of form, Hakuin said. But tell me, good scholar, what is the potential of this stone? What can it become, other than a perfectly beautiful, perfectly fixed stone? The scholar stammered, It is what it is, master. Its perfection is its nature. Hakuin then took a handful of the monastery's rough, cheap ink, powdered dust mixed with pine soot, and demonstrated a brushstroke, creating a single, explosive, beautiful character on a sheet of paper. This ink is fluid, Hakuin boomed. It is made of particles that can take any shape. It is unstable. It is fleeting. It is utterly empty of a permanent form. And precisely because it is emptiness, it can become the boundless sky, a weeping willow, or the face of the Buddha. The fixed stone has no freedom. The fleeting ink has infinite freedom. The scholar understood the profound teaching. Perfection is not permanence. Perfection is boundless potential. When you recognize that your own mind, your own form, is fundamentally empty, you realize that you are not locked into any single fixed identity. You are not eternally a stressed person, a tired person, or a worried person. These are just temporary forms, like the calligraphy on the page. The moment you realize that your true nature is emptiness, the vast, free potentiality, you are liberated to become the peace you seek. The worry is just a temporary ink mark on the page of your consciousness. You can observe it, and without resisting it, allow the solvent of rest to let it fade. Let this realization dissolve the last of your resistance.
Tonight, we gather the threads of the wisdom we have explored. The mind is the architect. You have learned that your happiness is not an accident of circumstance, but the natural consequence of a calm, well-intentioned mind. You are the architect of your inner world. Craving is the illusion. You have released the desperate hand of clinging, realizing that the tight grip causes more suffering than the loss itself. You trust the river. Vigilance is soft presence. You have practiced the relaxed readiness of the wise one, choosing to be fully here, now, without the anxiety of trying to force the moment to change. Refuge is the self. You have turned inward, realizing that the lamp you seek is your own unwavering awareness, always present, always available. Form in emptiness. You have seen that all things, including your own worries, are empty of a fixed, permanent self, and thus hold the boundless potential for ease and peace. Now, let go of the concepts. Let go of the need to remember the lessons. The wisdom is no longer in the words. It is settled into the quiet center of your body, where healing and rest begin. Imagine you are standing on a long, winding road that disappears into the misty distance. This road is the path of truth. But look down. You are not just standing on the road itself is made of the earth beneath your feet. And the earth is simply here. The deepest wisdom is that there is no more path to walk. There is only this step. The final lesson is the simplest one. You can rest now. A student once asked a great Zen master, "Master, after all the years of striving, all the hours of meditation, what is the secret of enlightenment?" The master, who was carrying a heavy load of firewood, stopped, smiled, and simply dropped the firewood onto the ground with a loud thud. "Is that all, master?" the student asked, surprised by the abrupt answer. The master, his hands now empty, looked at the student and asked, "Now what do I do?" The student, expecting a complex answer, stared blankly. The master chuckled, bent down, picked up the firewood, and began to walk away, saying, "Inward. You have found the center. Let the words fall away, like autumn leaves returning to the earth. There is nothing more to do. There is nothing more to become. There is only the vast, quiet peace of simply being." The path remains, and it is waiting for you in the stillness of your own heart.